Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Trix. Today we're going to be doing another spring tutorial. I know I said that I was going to be doing this like maybe daily-ish, but it looks like anyway, we're doing it now. So yeah, let's get started. The reason you cannot see the mic right now is because it is behind one of my monitors and I could not be asked to get it out. But from what I'm seeing in OBS, it is picking up my audio fine, so it might just live back there. Anyway, you're probably picking up a lot of like fan noise from my laptop right now, which I apologize for, but you can still hear me, so nice. In this tutorial, we show some nice features of Spring Security, Spring Boot, and Angular working together for a pleasant and secure user experience. You should be accessible to beginners with Spring and Angular, but there's also plenty of detail that will be of use to experts in either. This is actually first in a series of sections on Spring Boot, on Spring Security and Angular, with new features exposed in each one successfully. We will improve our application in the second and subsequent installments, but the main changes after this are architectural rather than functional. Okay, so they're probably going to have us build out something that follows like MVVM, MVC, or some type of architecture that's similar to that. Am I plugged in? Yeah. You know what, just because I'm very aware of my mic right now. Hang on. I'm very aware of the fan right now. Let me see. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to hear the fan on my laptop now. I was just very worried about it because I saw it was spiking when it was near the fans, so hopefully you can't hear it as much now. If you do, apologies. Okay, Spring and single page application, HTML5. For those that don't know what Angular is, I'm sorry about that. Angular, React, and Vue all fall under these like single page JavaScript frameworks that let you render things dynamically. I know that with React there is multi-page routing, like using React Router or something like that. I'm not sure what it's called in Angular or Vue because I just haven't used them. I've used React before though, but they're basically just like single page JavaScript frameworks that you can also use for multi-page frameworks. I mean for multi-page websites. So that's what it means by single page application. And because like back in the day, most websites were just like single static site pages, and then you'd have like a web page that incorporated hyperlinks to different web pages, and then you'd have web pages that incorporate some type of routing logic that could like jump you to like a different section of the page and stuff like that, and then you start using CSS to make things look nice, fancy, whatever, JavaScript to like handle processing, and then PHP for like backend, or Spring Boot in this example for backend. Let me just sort something out. I just want to have my BRB screen ready in case I need like grab water or something, because I know I'm running low. Yeah, I'm running a little low. Anyway, sidetrack over. HTML5 rich browser-based features and the single-page application are extremely valuable tools for modern developers, but any meaningful interaction will involve a backend server. So as well as static content, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you're going to need a backend server. The backend server should I explain what web apps are? A normal the difference between a website and a web app is, although like most pages seem like a website only renders static content. A web app does something to render that content. So where it's talking about a backend server, that's basically saying you're having a backend do some type of processing before rendering that information on the page. So most of the time, most websites we have now aren't even websites, they're web apps because they interact with like a database or something. That's something that I was taught at university that I was like, oh, I just thought everything was a website. The backend server can play any or all of a number of roles, serving static content sometimes, but not so often these days. Yeah, because something's interacting with like a database most of the time. Rendering dynamic HTML, authenticating users, securing access to protected resources, and last but not least, interacting with JavaScript in the browser through HTTP and JSON, sometimes referred to as a REST API. Spring has always been a popular technology for building backend features, especially in the enterprise. And with the advent of Spring Boot, things have never been easier. Let's have a look at how to build a new single-page application with nothing using Spring Boot, Angular, and Twitter Bootstrap. I've used Bootstrap before. Personally, don't really like it. Tailwind is a lot easier to use, but fair enough. There's no particular reason to choose that specific stack, but it's quite popular, especially with course consistency in enterprise Java shops, so it's a worthwhile starting point. We are going to step through creating the application in some details so that anyone who isn't completely off alpha, no. I don't have my speakers. My speakers go through my dongle, my USB hub, because I'm on Linux and Linux is stupid. It can't figure out like which one it wants me to play through all the time. So hang on, I just want to translate that because I have no idea how to pronounce that. Yes, your boy is stupid. French. Oh fuck. Au fait. Completely au fait. I'm assuming that's French. If that's not French, I'm sorry. With Spring and Angular, can follow what is happening. If you prefer to cut sessions, you can skip to the end where the application is running. Nope. And see how it all fits together. There are various options for creating a project. I'd rather use the CLI tool. So let me see if it's actually sudo zipper in Spring Boot. It's gonna load now. You know how we do things. It's always like last minute. Oh yeah, let's see if we can do something. I really want to upgrade my laptop. You know, at one point, I'm just gonna be like, I'm fed up and just upgrade it anyway. I don't know. Damn. I don't think it'll be in the repos, yeah. Oh wait, it could be Spring. Nah. Should I try OBS? I mean OPI? For people who don't know what that is, OpenSUSE has something like the AUR for Arch. It's called OPI, or the Open Build Service. You can download packages from other people's user repositories that they personally maintain. It's kind of cool. Let's do the CLI. I want to see how do they do it in here. SDK man, getting started. I could use the curl command, but I'm Spring Boot CLI Linux. I could use SDK man, seriously. Does SDK man even work? If it's in the user repositories, oh. There we go. Let's have a look. I should have unzip already installed. I can't think of anything else, honestly. You'll probably complain about it when I try to do something. Let's have a look. Ah, fuck. You know what? I might as well just... There we go. SDK. Oh. There we go. Gradle. Cool. Nice. Okay, cool. Let's do spring init dependencies. I would have really preferred if they just wrote that as deps web and security UI slash and cd into UI. Cool. Then jump to the next section. Where does it start? Okay, cool. The core of a single page application in Angular or any modern front-end framework. These days is going to be a Node.js build. Angular has some tools for setting this up quickly, so let's use those. Also, keep the option of building with Maven like any other Spring Boot application. The details of how to set up Angular app are covered elsewhere, or you can just check out the code for this tutorial. Yep, npm locally. Ooh, I'm confused. npm Gradle. Of course it doesn't have Gradle. Angular. Let me just check. Setup. Don't really care, honestly. I'm hoping Beldon covers it. Please, please, please. Okay. NG. Is it NG dash dash version? No. Okay. Nope. NG version? Yeah, it is. God damn it. NG new client. 22 minutes and we're only setting up packages. Must be great, isn't it? I'm literally just gonna call this Angular Spring when I check up on GitHub. Damn, this is taking time. Cool. So, fuck. Two. No. Client slash node star. Client slash src slash favicon icall. Client.getignore. Client.get. And then client slash dot getignore. Coolio. Then we've got cp dash rf client slash star. Oh, whoops. Then we've got cp client slash dot. This looks like regex. And then that, and then dit. cp client, that, and then that. That's fine. Then I'm going to grab this last one. See? Cool. I have no idea how this works. Hang on. I'm just gonna leave that for later because that I don't need to do. We discarded the node modules that CLI installed because we want to front end put do the work for it. Angular JSON, a bit like POM-XML for the Angular CLI to point the output of the Angular build to a location that will be packaged in our jar file. Hang on. You know what, I could just search this up. Com go GitHub earslet. Maven front-end plugin. So I could just open it in a new tab. Cool. Let me redo this. Mm-hmm. I know there's a toss somewhere. Ah, it's so cold. Would have loved to know that. Let me just let that load. Damn, it's cold. I never used Maven before. I used Gradle, which is funny because I use Gradle at work, and like some of this stuff I just don't know about Gradle. It's good to know now. Let me add the Gradle plugin. Come on, there we are. It should be in build.gradle. Yeah, there we go. Ah, god damn it. Let me grab you. Control C. Let me. Zero V. Shift this way. There we go. Cool. Let me check what else did it do. It added that. Then it has an install npm. Is there a node? Nah. Generate resources. I want to know what... This adds it, right? And then it makes an execution. Usage. Oh! Hang on. I saw Angular somewhere. Build Gradle. There we are. Cool. Gradle W generate Angular app. As installing Angular, I need to generate Angular app, new client. Let's see what this does. This made my app. I should have changed it to client. Cool. And then build. Then let me install this. There we are. Then what does this do? This makes the install npm. Install npm. I'm pretty sure it's gonna have like a node npm install. Cool. Nope. Cool. Whatever. Then I'm just gonna copy these because I'm not trusting myself with typing them out myself. I'm really hoping that this will go on GitHub. There we are. Then let me grab this. Ah, god damn it. There we are. Then that's fine. There we go. And the last one. There we go. I'm hoping this works. Come on. I'm gonna have to add a dash force on the end. This must be big, you know. Cool. I think I got rid of the test, didn't I? Yeah. Let me add that actually. Usage. I'll add this one. There we are. If you want a stable build, you should put a before the version of Angular CLI in your package JSON. It isn't added by default when you do ng new, but it protects you from changes in the CLI. Example. Package JSON. Dev dependencies. There we go. And then this one, I'll just chuck in and that should do it. You can now build continuously with ng build -- watch updates are built quickly. Okay. I'll just keep this open just in case I do need it. Cool. Is it build Angular app? There we go. Cool. Once Angular app is primed, the application will be loaded in a browser, even though it doesn't do much yet. On the command line you can do, I know that in Gradle W is build run. I think it's build run. No, it's boot run. Just need to wait a minute. Okay, that's the password. There we are. Let me just see. Control V, yeah. Control V. That's fine. Cool. So in SRC app components.ts, Angular core, then we got a component which has an app root, a template, styles, and then app component, title, demo. Okay. Boilerplate, the interest of is all going to be an app component where we define the selector name of the HTML element and a snippet of the HTML to render via a app component annotation. We also need to edit the HTML template. Okay, let me copy this. Let me P. There we are. And then there's app component.html. Where does that live? SRC app is in here. App component HTML, yep. App.component.html. Let me copy this, paste. If you added those files on the SC app and rebuilt your app, it should now be secure and functional. And say hello world. The greeting is rendered by Angular in HTML using the handlebar placeholders greeting.id and greeting.content. Okay. So if I do Gradle boot run, should try to build and then boot. Cool. Ooh, interesting. Build Angular app and build and then run. app component.css didn't return a string. What? I don't even have an app component.css. This nuts, man. Honestly, SRC app component.css. There we are. It should at least build now, even if it doesn't exist. I might have to import the library from this. Hang on. Just because I know it's gonna complain, I might as well cancel that and import it in it. Is it gonna work? Is Bootstrap in here? Let me see how it does. Let me see if that'll fix it. If not, I'll just delete the stuff in there. Because not like it has anything in there anyway. Yeah, it's that. Let me just let that load for a minute. Now to profiles, root WebKit, okay, user defaults, and generate non-secure new request with order, Tomcat, start a demo app, okay. Okay, so it's saying if I go to localhost colon 8080, right, and then I do user, and then I grab this, and then just It's still saying I can't find it. Let me check actually. Demo app. Then there's module. App component TS. Component app dot component dot html app dot component dot css. Yeah. Am I doing something wrong? Let me check HTML. No, it looks the same. Interesting. Don't know what's wrong with it, lads. So far we have an application with a greeting that is hard-coded, that's useful for learning how things fit together, but really we expect content to come from backend server. So let's create a HTTP endpoint that we can use to grab a greeting in your application class. Java demo, main Java demo app, add the REST controller. Okay, let me just okay, Spring Boot app, okay, resource map model hash, okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, so depending on the way you created your new project, it may not be called UI application. Ooh, that's right, actually. Undo. It's called demo app. So, God damn it. Let me just do. Demo application. Cool. Run the application, try to call resource. Is secure by default. Okay. So if I do this, and then I just add another Alacrity window. That's not what I wanted. Can I swap these? Yep, that's better. Hang on. Ooh, error, cannot find symbol. And then it can't find REST controller or request mapping, so request God damn it. Controller. Ooh, I think I know what I can do. Was that on build? Let me try that again. I want to see if it can't find it, because it should be able to. Let me check if my GitHub got it. It should be in payroll. Payroll. Because I know I do use them. REST controller, yeah. Hang on. You need to import them. Yank. Print. Delete that line. Whoops. End of line. Oh, goddamn. Nope. End of line. Back a word. Change the word. REST controller. Change the word. Request mapping. I'm guessing I'm using a different version to what they're using in the tutorials, which is why it's not building properly. Cool. Let me try this again. Cool. No, still. What's it called? Didn't even return anything. Something's definitely wrong. Mm-hmm. 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 Why isn't it working? I'm trying to... hang on. No. Libs? No. Resources, main. Static? Nope. Templates? Nope. Not sure, to be honest. Loading dynamic resource from Angular, so let's grab the message in the browser, modifying the app component to load the protected resource using XHR. Okay. So in here, I can go to app component TS. There we are. We injected the HTTP service, which is provided by Angular through the HTTP module, and use it to get out a resource. Angular passes us the response, and we pull out JSON and assign it to the greeting. To enable dependency injection of the HTTP service into our custom component, we need to declare it in the app module. Module that includes the component is just one more line in the imports compared to the initial draft at modules TS. Cool, let me go to module. Do P, cool. Run the application again, or just reload the homepage in the browser, and you will see the dynamic message with its unique ID. So even though the resource is protected and you can't cut it directly, the browser was able to access the content. We had secure single page application in less than 100 lines of code. Is it the static stuff? App component content does not exist on type. What? On greeting? Why doesn't it have it on greeting? That's not it. Main. Index.html. Main? No. Environments? No. App? Component got none. component HTML, component.ts, module.ts. How does it know that greeting has a content or an ID? Because content and ID aren't specified anywhere. Hang on. In this repository. That's fine. That's fine. Cool. Is it the specs.ts? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. I can continue reading anyway, because it's like, logic-wise, it'll probably be fixed as I continue. It's just that if I can't get this building by the end of the stream, I'm probably not going to upload it to GitHub. Interaction between the browser and the backend can be seen in your browser if you use some developer tools. Here's a summary. Get is 401, browser prompts for authentication. Get 200, index.html. Get any JS file 200 loads of third assets from Angular main bundle.js 200 application logic resource 200 JSON greeting. You might not see the 400 because the browser treats the homepage load as a single interaction. You might see 2 requests for resource because there is a cause negotiation. Look more closely at the requests and you will see that all of them have an authorization header, something like this. The browser is sending username and password with every request, so remember to use HTTPS exclusively in production. There's nothing Angular about that, so it works without your framework of choice. What's wrong with that? On the face of it, it seems like we did a pretty good job. It's concise, easy to implement. All of our data is secure by a secret password, and it would still work if we changed the front end or back end technologies, but there are some issues. Basic authentication is restricted to username and password authentication. The authentication UI is ubiquitous but ugly browser dialog. There's no protection, cross-site request forgery, CSRF. CSRF isn't really an issue with our application as it stands, since it only needs to get the back-end resource. Sorry, the light's bothering me. I don't know if you'll be able to see me. It's kind of too bright. Let me go close the window. Let me close the blinds. Hang on. There we are, that looks a bit better. Get the backend resource, i.e. no state is changed in the server. As soon as you have a post, put, or delete in your application, it simply isn't secure anymore by any reasonable modern measure. In this section in the series, we will need to extend the application to use form-based authentication, which is a lot more flexible than HTTP basic. Once we have a form, we will need CSRF protection, and both Spring Security and Angular have some nice out-of-the-box features to help with this. Spoiler, we are going to need to use HTTP session. Thanks. I would like to thank everyone who helped me develop the series, and in particular Rob Winch and Thorsten Spaeth for their careful reviews of the text and the source code, and for teaching me a few tricks I don't even know about the parts I thought I was most familiar with. In this section, we continue our discussion of how to use Spring Security with Angular in a single page application. Here we show how to use Angular to authenticate a user via a form and fetch a secure resource stored in the UI. Second in the series section, and you can catch up on the basic building blocks of the application and build it from scratch by reading the first section, or you could just go straight to the source code in GitHub. In the first section, we built a simple application that used HTTP basic authentication to protect the backend resources. In this one, we had a login form, give the user some control over whether to authenticate or not, and fix the issues with the first iteration, principally lag of CSRF protection. Reminder, if you are working through the section with the sample application, be sure to clear your browser cache of cookies and HTTP credentials. In Chrome, the best way to do that for a single server is to open a new incognito window. I could actually, new private window. I can't even get it building currently, there's no point. Add navigation to the home page. The core of the Angular application is a HTML-based template for the basic page layout. We already had a really basic one, but for this application we need to offer some navigation features: login, logout, home. So let's modify it in source app component HTML. Okay, let me grab this. VG end, oh shit, end P colon W. The main content is a router outlet, and there is a navigation bar with login and logout links. The router outlet selector is provided by Angular, and it needs to be wired up to a component in the main module. It's going to be component per route per menu link, and a helper service to glue them together. And share some state. App service is the implementation of the module that pulls all the pieces together. Jesus, that's a lot. Okay, so that's app module.ts. VG end P colon W. We added a dependency on the Angular module called router module, and this allowed us to inject a router into the constructor of the app component. The routes are used inside the imports of the app module and set up links to route, the home controller, and login. The login controller will also sneak the forms module in there because it will be needed later for binding data to a form that we want to submit when users log in. UI components are all declarations, and service glue is a provider. The app component actually doesn't do very much. The TypeScript component that goes with the app route is here. App component.ts. VG P. Salient features. There's some more dependency injection this time of the app service. There's a logout function exposed as a property of the component, which we can use later to send a logout request to the backend. Sets a flag in the app service and sends the user back to the login screen, and it does this unconditionally via a finally callback. We are using template URL to externalize the template HTML in a separate file. The authenticate function is called when the controller is loaded to see if the user is actually already authenticated. If he had refreshed the browser in the middle of the session, we need the authenticate function to make a remote call because the actual authentication is done by the server, and we don't want to trust the browser to keep track of it. The app service that we injected above needs a Boolean flag so we can tell if the user is currently authenticated, and a function authenticate that can be used to authenticate the backend server, or just to query it if this user just query it for the user details. App service, yes. So a app. Oh no, oh no, that's because I hit E, isn't it? As I was doing, app dot service dot ts p app.service.ts. Authenticate flag is simple. The authenticate function sends the HTTP basic authentication credentials if they are provided, otherwise not. It also has optional comment element that we can use to execute some code if the authentication is successful. The greeting content from the old homepage can go right next to the app component HTML and SRC app home component.html. home.component.html. home.component.html. There we go, and then I'll print that and then did it. Since the user now has the choice whether to log in or not, before it was all controlled by the browser, we need to distinguish in the UI between content that is secure and which is not. We have anticipated this by adding references to an as yet not existent authenticated function. The home component has to fetch the greeting and also provide the authenticated utility function that pulls the flags out of the app service. Home component.ts. component.ts print. There we are. Login form. Login form also gets its own component. And Jesus. Cool. This is a very standard login form with 2 inputs for username and password and a button for submitting the form via Angular event handler submit. You don't need an action to the form on the form test. It's probably better not to put one in it at all. There's also an error message showing only if the Angular module contains an error. Model contains error. Why do I keep saying model for module and module for model? The form controls uses ng model from Angular forms to pass the data between HTML Angular controller. In this case, we are using a credentials object to hold the username and password. The authentication process. To support the login form we just added, we need to add some more features on the client side. These will be implemented in the login component, and on the server it will be a Spring security configuration. Submitting the login form. To submit the form, we need to define the login function that we referenced already in the form via ng submit and the credentials object that we referenced via ng model. Let's flesh out the login component, okay? Component.ts. Copy the pasta. Let me just look at this. Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. In addition to initializing the credentials object, it defines the login that we need in the form. The authenticate makes a get to the relative resource relative to the deployment route of the application / user. When called from the login function, they add the base. So on the server it does an authentication and accepts a cookie in return. The login function also sets a local scope, the error flag, accordingly when we get the result of the authentication, which is used to control the display of the error message above the login form. To service the authenticate function, we need to add a new endpoint to the backend. Damn. Anyway, let me rename some stuff because it's been annoying me, honestly. So main Java com example UI is fine. No? Is this? I want to rename this to UI application. UI application.java. That's fine, right? I wanna go in here. I wanna rename this UI application that's UI, that's fine. And then request mapping, Control C. I want to just print that in here, and then I want to tab that in, and then down here I want to enter. Cool. This is a useful trick in Spring security application. If the user resource is reachable, then it will return the currently authenticated user and authentication. Otherwise, Spring security will intercept the request. Authentication entry point. Handling login request on the server. I'm gonna have to grab configuration and order, aren't I? God damn it. Spring security makes it easy to handle the login request. We just need to add some configuration to our main application class. I already know this is not gonna work, but like when I build it, it's gonna complain about something, but you know what? Screw it anyway. Cool. This is a standard Spring Boot application with Spring security customization, just allowing anonymous access to the static HTML resources. HTML resources need to be available to an anonymous user, not just ignored by Spring security for reasons that will become clear. Last thing we need to remember Angular available anonymously for the application. We could do that in the HTTP security configuration above, but since the static content is best, simply ignore it. Application.yaml. Where's that? 솔직히. And is it an app? Nope. Where does this live? Let me grab this and see if this is anywhere in the project. Is nowhere. Is actually nowhere. What the hell? Okay, so let's see if it actually works. I'm gonna do... Because if build Angular app doesn't work, then I know that something is missing, and then I can at least like try to fix it. Ooh, interesting. Let's have a look. Okay, so error property finally does not exist on type observable objects. Finally not exported from package. We can try to build it anyway and see if it runs. Oh no. Just trying to find principal. Principal spring? What's Eklund? It's probably going to come down to, yeah, it probably is going to come down to imports, isn't it? Spring Boot. Should I just open up Eclipse at this point? Do I even have Eclipse though? Java? Eclipse? No, I do not. IDE? No. Let me just grab. Ah, yeah, it has you install that as a tar. Fine. Let me see if my what's it, Mason? Mason. Okay, a new version. Mm-hmm. I hope for the love of God I can just. Oh, thank God. There's audio reader. If I do this and then just search IntelliJ, yeah, it's not bad. God damn it. Let me move this over here. Question mark. That okay? Cool. Let me move you over there. There we are. Cool. Oh, I didn't create a desktop entry. That makes so much sense. I should have made a desktop entry. Create desktop entry. Click OK. Really? Oh, pain. Hang on. idea.sh. Let me just create it for normal users instead. Create desktop entry. Okay. Really? It's not even there? Run shell as background process. Oh yeah, I could just check the. Come on, Cameron. Give it a sec. Cool. Starting it up. There we go. Open. I want to grab docs. No, whoops, wrong one. Docs, learning, programming. Where are ya? UI. Okay. Trust. Trust. Give that a sec. Oh, why? There we are. I don't need you to open the readme for you. Man. Java. This one. Come on. This one. I'm just gonna let that. And what I'm hoping is it will tell me physically, hey, this thing isn't here. Damn, IntelliJ slow. Always download. Still indexing. Let's see. Click. Now I remember why I used IntelliJ at work only and never at home. Because this is slow. I don't have Vim enabled. Boilerplate implementation of the class is basically this work is what all we really need to do. Override the intercept function, which is always called by Angular and can be used as an additional header. To install the new request factory, you need to declare it in the providers of the app module. Logout. The application is almost finished functionally. Last thing we need to do is implement the logout feature that we sketch in the homepage. If the user is authenticated, then we show a logout link and hook it to a logout function in the app component. Remember, it says the history post logout. Which we need to put because it has for us and already by Spring Security. For more control over the behavior of logout, you could use the HTTP security callbacks in your web security adapter to, for instance, execute some business logic and logout. Come on, it's indexing. Come on. Struggling, I can tell you that. Application is almost ready to use, and fairly front end now you'll find everything we built so far actually works except the logout link. Try using it and look at the response in the browser and you'll see why. It's good because it means that Spring Security built-in CSRF protection has kicked in to prevent us from shooting ourselves in the foot. All it wants is a token sent to it in a header called XCSRF. The value of the CSRF token was available server side in the HTTP request attributes from the initial request that loaded the homepage. To get to the client, we can render it using a dynamic HTML page on the server, or expose it via a custom endpoint, or else we could send it as a cookie. The last choice is the best because Angular has built-in support for CSRF, which is XSRF based on cookies. So on the server, we need a custom filter that will send the cookie. Angular wants the cookie name to be XSRF token, and Spring Security browser as this request attribute by default. So we just need to transfer the value from a request attribute to cookie. Fortunately, Spring Security since 4.1.0 provides a special CSRF token to repository that does precisely this. Cool. Did that import anything new? Nope. Interaction between the browser and the backend can be seen in your browser if you use some developer tools. Here's a sample. Responses that are marked ignored above are HTML supposed to receive an call, and since we aren't processing that data, the HTML is dropped on the floor. We do look for an authenticated user in the case for the /user resource, but since it isn't there in the first call, the response is dropped. Look more closely at the request that you will see that They will have cookies. If you start with a clean browser, incognito in Chrome, the very first request has no cookies going off to the server, but the server sends back set cookie for JSON session ID. The regular, there we go. Alt enter. There we are. Alt enter. This is what I needed. Let's record. Seriously, it doesn't exist no more. Okay. Okay, subsequent requests all have those cookies and they're important. The application doesn't work without them, and they are providing some really basic security features, authentication, protection. The values of the cookies change when the user authenticates after the post, and this is another important security feature preventing session attacks. It is not adequate for CSRF protection to rely on the cookie being sent back to the server because this browser will automatically send it even if you are not in the page load from the application or site scripting attack or otherwise in XSS. Header is not automatically sent, so the origin is under control. You might see that in your application the CSRF token is sent to the client as a cookie, so we will see it being sent back automatically by the browser, but it's a header that provides the protection. Help, how is my application going to scale? But wait, you're saying, isn't it really bad to use session state in a single app page application analysis? So the question is going to be, have to be mostly, because it is very definitely is a good thing to use session for authentication and CSRF protection. State has to be stored somewhere. Sorry. Let me just. Has to be stored somewhere, and if you take it out of the session, you're going to have to put it somewhere else and manage it manually yourself on both the server and the client. That's just more code. Probably more maintenance and generally reinventing a perfectly good wheel. But you're going to respond, how do I scale my application horizontally now? This is the real question you're asking above, but it tends to get shortened to session state is bad, I must be stateless, don't panic. The main point to take on board here is that security is stateful. You can't have a secure stateless application, so where are you going to store the state? That's all there is to it. Rob Winch gave a very useful and insightful talk at Spring Exchange 2014 explaining the need for state and the ubiquity of it. TCP and SSL stateful, so your system is stateful whether you knew it or not, which is probably worth a look if you want to look into this topic in more depth. Good news is you have a choice. The easiest choice is to store the session data in memory and rely on the sticky session in your load balancer to route requests from the same session back to the same JVM. They all support that somehow. That's good enough to get you off the ground and will work for a really large number of use cases. The other choice is to share the session data between instances of application as long as you are strict and only store the security data. It's small and changes infrequently. Anyone uses login and out of this, all their sessions times out, so there shouldn't be any major infrastructure problems. It's also really easy to do with Spring Session. We'll be using Spring Session in the next section in this series, so there's no need to go into any detail about how to set it up here, but it is literally a few lines of code and the Redis server, which is super fast. Another easy way to set up shared session state is to deploy your application as a WAR file to Cloud Foundry pivotal web services and bind it to a Redis service. What about my custom token implementation? Is stateless. Look, hang on. Let me just. There we go. I could maybe tweak up a bit. There we are. If that's what your response to the last section, then read it again because maybe you don't get it for the first time. It's probably not stateless if you stored the token somewhere, but even if you didn't, you must use JWT encoded tokens. How are you going to provide a CSRF protection? It's important. Here's a rule of thumb. Attribute to Rob Winch is if your application or API is going to be accessed by a browser, you need CSRF protection. It's not that you can't do it without sessions, it's just that you have to write all of that code yourself, and what would be the point because it's already implemented and works perfectly well on top of HTTP session, which in turn is part of the container you're using and backed into specs since the very beginning. Even if you decide you don't need CSRF and have a perfectly stateless non-session based token implementation, you will have to write extra code in the client to consume and use it, where you could have just delegated the browser and server's own built-in features. The browser always sends cookies and the server always has a session unless you switch off. The code is not business logic and isn't making you any money, it's just an overhead, so even worse, it costs you money. Conclusion: application we have now is close to what a user might expect in a raw application in a live environment, and probably could be used as a template for building out into more feature-rich applications with that architecture, single server with static content and JSON resources. We are using the HTTP session for storing security data, relying on our clients to respect and use cookies we send them, and we are comfortable with that because it lets us concentrate on our own business domain. In the next section, we expand the architecture to separate authentication and UI server, plus a standard resource server on the JSON. For the JSON, this is obviously easily generalized to multiple resource servers. We are also going to introduce Spring Session into the stack and show how that can be used to share authentication data. Let me figure out web security configuration deprecated. I'm just so confused why the tutorial hasn't been upgraded for Spring Boot 3 yet. Just very weird. Like, I don't understand if it was like, oh yeah, the library's called something different. Like that happened last time when I was using Java X, but I had to switch it to Jakarta. But this isn't like, oh, the library's different. It's the library doesn't exist anymore. The class you're trying to use has been deprecated. Change it. Like, that basically renders what I'm trying to do meaningless right now. I'll continue. Hopefully the end product will work. Hopefully. Continue our discussion on how to use Spring Security with Angular in a single page application. Here we are starting by breaking out the greeting resource that we are using as dynamic content in our application into a separate server. First as an unprotected resource and then protected by an opaque token. This is the third in a series of sections, and you can catch up on the basic building blocks of the application or building it from scratch in the first section, or you can just go straight to the source code which is in two parts, one where the resource is unprotected and one where it's protected by a token. Work through this section with the sample application. Be sure to clear your browser cache of cookies and EP basic credentials and code. Fine. On client side, there isn't very much to do from the resource to the left and backend. Here's the home component in the last section. Change URL from example. Okay, so this is home component.ts, right? Component. Okay, then we have demo, greeting, private app, private HTTP client, HTTP get resource subscribe, data, this greeting data. Okay, all we need to do is change this URL. For example, if we're going to run the new resource on the close, like this. Okay, so let me just grab this. There we are. UI is trivial to change. We just need to remove the request mapping for greeting resource. Okay, so inside here, add request mapping. Then we need to create a new resource server, which we can do like this in the first section using the Spring Boot initializer. Using curl. Okay. And then in the terminal, I don't know if it'll pull up my ZSH. Ah, I did. Nice. Does it? Why does it show resource? I want to know what this code links to. Seriously. It's a completely different one. I'm gonna read through it because I know I can't get it running. But after I read through it, I'm not going to upload this to GitHub because I've just been copy pasting, and like I can't even get it running on local because of a deprecated library. But I am going to pull down the repo, CD into the right one, and then run it on local so I can see what it's doing. Oh, I use the Maven as well, because if I go into it, does it have a Gradle build? No, it doesn't have a Gradle, so I can't even run it on local. So even if I did clone it, it won't do anything. I'm gonna read through the tutorial anyway. That just sucks. Let me see, how do we have the project structured here? Anyway, that's fine. Part 2, to use cookies in session mode. Argument there was that not to do so. The argument there was that not to do so introduces additional unnecessary complexity, and for sure the implementation we have now is the most complex we have seen so far. The technical part of the solution far outweighs the business logic, which is admittedly tiny. This is definitely a fair criticism, but let's just briefly look at why it's not as simple as just using cookies in session for everything. Now, at least we are still using the session, which makes sense because Spring Security and Serverlet Container knows how to do that with no effort on our part. But couldn't we have continued to use the cookies to transport the authentication token? It would be nice, but there's a reason it wouldn't work. And that is the browser wouldn't let us. You can just go poking around in browser's cookies, some store from JavaScript client, but there are some restrictions and for good reason. In particular, you don't have to access the cookie that were sent by the server as HTTP only, which you will see is the case by default for session cookies. You also can't set cookies in outgoing requests, so we couldn't set a session cookie, which is Spring Session default cookie name. We had to use as custom X session header both. Those restrictions are for your own protection, so malicious scripts cannot access your resources without proper authorization. UI resource servers do not have a common origin, so they cannot share cookies, even though we can use Spring Session to force them to share sessions. Concluding and duplicate the features of the application, part 2 of the series, a home page with a greeting fetch from remote backend with login and logout links and navigation bar. Difference is that the greeting comes from a resource server that is standalone instead of being embedded in the UI server. That added significant complexity to the implementation, but the good news is that we have a completely configuration based and practically 100% declarative solution. We could either make the solution 100% declarative by extracting all new code into libraries, Spain, configuration, Angular custom directives. We are going to do further interesting stuff after the next couple of installments. In the next session, we are going to look at different really great ways to reduce all the complexity in the current implementation. The API gateway pattern client sends all its requests to one place and authentication is handled there. API gateway. In this section, we continue our discussion. Here we show how to build an API gateway to control the authentication and access to build backend resources in Spring Cloud. This is fourth in a series of sections, and you can catch up to the basic building blocks of the application or build it from scratch by reading the first section. You can just go straight to the code in GitHub. In the last session, we built a simple distributed application that uses Spring Session to authenticate backend resources. In this one, we make the UI server into a reverse proxy to the backend resource server, fixing the issues with the last implementation and the complexity introduced by custom token authentication and giving us a lot of new options for controlling access from browser client. Mind if you are working through this, for example, browser based client only knows the URL of one server. Backend can be refactored as will with no change, which is significant advantages. There are other advantages in terms of centralization control, limiting authentication, auditing volume, and proxies. So for Spring Cloud, if you are following along in the code, you will know the application implementation is lots of complex. Okay, just to iterate away. There was, however, a halfway point which we could start from more easily with a backend resource when you're secure. Spring Security, the source code for this project. We are going to start from there. It has UI server, Okay. I want to start off with the good things about this tutorial first before I rip into it, okay? Because there are a lot of things you can actually learn from this tutorial, right? One, setting up, like the last bits, setting up a proxy, authentication, OAuth, testing, just scrolling through it right now. What else? I want to say proxying, but same thing. Security, authentication, backend, OAuth again. And genuinely, there's a lot of things you can learn, and it does give you a good architecture to follow, where you have a back end and a front end, and you're trying to separate them out instead of just having them together. Become a certain time when you're deploying somewhere, you want to have that separated, right? And then just implementing a lot of these architectures are pretty good. You probably won't like touch all of these in like a normal side project or like a normal tutorial. At least telling you that, oh, you can do these things and like helping you get through it. Pretty good. Okay, now I'm gonna get on my gripes. Let me get through like the middle things, right? Okay, one, I'm using Gradle, right? Now that's on me for using Gradle, but I use Gradle at work and I'm familiar with Gradle. There are some things I still don't know about Gradle, but I still use it. The thing that I was like, okay, they could have really supported Gradle, like actually talking about Gradle and stuff, which I wasn't going to bring up until I saw this, right? Because in the previous tutorial, they only show you how to do one of these, right? So I was like, okay, fair enough. They're like stingy with what they're choosing. So rather than you just use this specific thing and then follow it through. Because they're doing it in the other tutorials, like because this tutorial has the other methods to do it, they could have at least incorporated a tab somewhere that's like, oh, if you are using Gradle, do this. If you're using Maven, do this. It's not that much documentation. It's literally just It's literally just adding it as like a option that here's Gradle, here's Maven. Because if I go to Java plugins, where is it? Where is it? Is it this? No, I've been to it. Hibernate, entity, Maven repository. Literally on here, yeah. Oh look, you click on this. Maven, Gradle, Gradle Short, Gradle Cotton, SBT, Ivy, Grape, Lineage, and Builder. It's not that hard to implement, like. And I'm pretty sure their tutorial page is built in Spring as well. Implementing something like this, not that hard. Yep, fair enough. I'm not using Maven. On me for not using Maven. But also, like, on you for not actually, like, offering it because you know people use it. And you even say, I'm pretty sure, like, you've said in one of these tutorials, you can use Gradle. So if you can use it, at least show how to do it in Gradle. Fair enough, I can just go over that stuff and I did. So it's like, not that bad. My biggest gripe with this tutorial, now this is where I'm getting the meat of it. The content's good, obviously. Content is good. I've learnt a lot just reading over it, even though I couldn't follow it because, well, biggest gripe. Deprecation, okay? I'm not sure which version of Spring this is for, but with SDK Man, which I've literally installed now, is working for whatever version of Spring that I installed. I'm pretty sure if I... Hang on, let me check. This is... Let me just check what version of Spring Boot I'm using. 3.0.2, yeah. 3.0.2, keep that in mind. If I go to... let me just pop open an Alacrity window. Oh, fuck. Alacrity. Control Z. Yep. If I go into my documents, CD into payroll, and then I just open it then. I want to see what my build upgrader says. I'm using 3.0.1, so I'm literally one revision ahead, right? I'm pretty sure if I change that to 3.0.1, let me just humor myself, right? So my biggest gripe, which I am willing to like concede on if this currently works, is I am using Spring Boot version 3 for the first tutorial. Worked completely fine. There was an issue with Hibernate, but it was still the same package. Wasn't deprecated, just in a different repository. And I was like, okay, fair enough. That's on me because I'm not using IntelliJ, right? I wasn't using IntelliJ back then. I was using NeoVim because I just coded NeoVim. That's why I'm like, oh, if I have import errors and stuff, that's just on me, right? Fair enough. Import errors are on me. But if there are dependency issues and deprecations, that is not on me. That is on the package maintainers for not making people aware of that. Especially when you're writing a tutorial which uses those libraries, modules, classes. Fair enough. You can be like, oh, it's for a different version of Spring Boot. If that is true, it should at least say it somewhere in the tutorial. Yep. Like, I take full responsibility for, oh yeah, I'm not using IntelliJ. That has dependency issues because I'm just literally not using an IE. So I need to import by myself. I'm using Gradle, which is different than Maven, and I'm using a different starter tool. But again, I'm pretty sure if you ran this starter tool, it'll give you Spring Boot 3 point whatever. It'll give you Spring Boot 3, so I don't even think it's a Spring Boot 3 issue. I think that this is made for older version of Spring Boot, and they haven't updated the tutorial yet, which is kind of disheartening. Again, if you do like watch this live stream, please give the tutorial a shot. Obviously downgrade to Spring Boot 2 point something. I'm pretty sure it's like 2.5 maybe. I haven't used Spring Boot before, so don't know what the previous version of it was, but I'm pretty sure it's like 2 point something. Use Spring Boot 2, see if you can get this running. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be in the POM.works mono. Let me check. What's it in POM? POM is... Hang on a sec. Let me go into Spring... Oh, to log out. POM. Oh yeah, I need to go into one of the... Let me go into UI. That's 1.5/6. Security version. Where's that? It can't even find it. Like, I'm literally staring at it in here. Literally right here, spring-security.version. Let me just, for sanity, I want to grab this and see what it does. You can't even see it. Okay. Well, that's great, isn't it? Let me see if I can find without .version. That's in the readme. Readme. Pom.xml. That's in the pom. Readme. It won't even tell me what version it's running. So I'm going to assume Spring Boot version 2. If you're at least using Spring Boot version 2, I'm guessing this will work for you. And that is my biggest gripe with this tutorial right now. Other than that, I don't really have anything to say badly about this tutorial. I think the content's good. I think the way that it's taught is pretty good. I think the explanation is really good. Like, I can still follow it even though like I don't really understand Spring Boot, but I can like piece things together. Debugging's pretty good. There are like some faults on me, obviously, not using Maven, not using an IDE for the first hand, but still, if there were any issues with that, I still like booted up IntelliJ to give it its best shot. I don't think switching over to Maven would make this any better. Like, I'm pretty sure this was built in the older Spring Boot version. So yeah, if you're gonna give this a shot, please use our older Spring Boot version, and if this somehow makes it across any of the Spring Boot maintainers, yeah, I've given my piece, right? I'm not trying to come out after anyone. Obviously, I'm just saying my piece of what I think. I do like this tutorial. It's pretty good compared to the first one. I think it's a lot better just because in terms of the content, there is a lot more stuff that's covering. Obviously, not in terms of like depth. In depth, the first one went into more depth in the topics it was covering, just because there was less topics to cover. This one just touches more technology, so it does like skimp out on some stuff, but you still get the main gist of it. I just wish I could have followed along, but other than that, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, enjoy the rest of your day, and peace.